I recently bought this battery-powered circular saw by Ryobi. Now, this model is the P507. Debated about getting one of these for a while. I tend to like corded skill saws. I've used people's battery saws before. They always seem kind of anemic, or it just doesn't seem like it's hardly worth it. But sometimes you're in an awkward spot, or you need to cut something upside down in a crawl space or something stupid, and dragging an extension cord in is a real pain in the neck. So, got a bunch of other Ryobi tools. Sort of got sucked into the Ryobi brand. It all started quite a few years ago. My dad bought a whole bunch of used reconditioned drills, like 3 or 4 of them, so we could tap our maple trees with them. So we wanted to buy a cheap drill and several of them, because they weren't going to get used a lot. And then we ended up with Ryobi batteries and chargers, and sort of got sucked into the brand. The other brand I've used some is Makita. A lot of my friends have Makita brand tools that I work with when I'm doing construction or carpentry type stuff. And I can say that the Ryobi is definitely not up to the same level as Makita, but it's cheaper. So I'm going to take this apart and see what it looks like inside. I've seen other reviews of the saw, and they're like, it cuts 2x4s. Yes, it's a saw. It should cut 2x4s. No, it's not particularly powerful. If you're doing a long rip cut and you need to steer, it slows down and sounds unhappy. So really, trimming a few things, cutting 2x4s or 2x stuff straight, it's fine. We're just doing cross cuts. Long rip cuts wouldn't be my tool of choice. But I wouldn't want to use one of these all day. I would prefer a corded saw anyways. I also don't like the blade on the left. To me, it's left-handed because I use a speed square a lot of the times. It just seems awkward. I don't know why they swapped it over. I know some people really like the blade on the left. Maybe it's what I'm used to, but really, I'm not going to use this saw enough. One thing the Makita has that this one doesn't appear to is easily replaceable brushes. They have little screw holes right on the outside for brush replacement. I don't know if that really matters, because really, for a cordless tool, that's not going to get a lot of use. I've never worn the brushes out of a cordless tool, so maybe if you were going to really use it a lot, I guess you can get to them fairly easily. So yeah, who knows if you can actually get replacements, though. It has the stamped steel base here, which is probably not the best to get bent if you dropped it or something, but I try not to drop my tools off roofs or ladders, but it does happen occasionally, and I think if this one takes a fall, it's going to end up cutting crooked. It's interesting, the battery mounting on the side below the handle, it seems actually better than the Makita, which mounts it up on the back. This seems like it balances well and packs into makes a smaller package. There we go. Alright, that guy doesn't need else. So, we are in really basic, no variable speed, so just have a trigger switch with an interlock. That's kind of chintzy. This just flops around in the case and gets pushed off to the side so the trigger can pull in. It's good to know this is easily removable. If you decided you didn't want that safety feature, you just pop that out. Because these are kind of annoying. It's probably good to have, because having a drill turn on in your belt is one thing, but having a circular saw turn on when you're carrying it up a ladder is another. But it can be annoying reaching around a thing, holding the saw in an awkward position, trying to pull the trigger with your pinky because you're cutting downhill upside down on the wall, and you got to figure out a way to push in the safety lock. So that'll probably stay, but screw terminals screwed in nice and tight. It's not very flexible wire, but I suppose it doesn't have to be. Pretty solid feeling switch. Anti-theft device. They don't trust you. Well, I wouldn't trust people either. ABS. So, not the best plastic, but yeah. The whole thing was $50. So, you do get what you pay for. So probably not gonna do very well falling off a roof. So this definitely isn't a tool you're gonna leave to your grandkids. They're gonna find this thing. The batteries will be all dead. It'll be in a corner collecting dust, and they'll have to throw it out. Maybe even your kids will. So, but that's sort of the way with battery tools. Let's see. Hopefully this doesn't go springing too much. So I think I'm going to actually abort taking off this side. I mean, it's a plastic blade guard. What do you really need to see under there? And this is a plastic thing, unless I can't get, I think the gearbox all comes apart from the other side. Bearing in here, SL. $6,000Z? I don't know. Look, it's good to know this comes apart fairly easily, so you can get, if gunk gets in the blade guard, because a lot of times on saws the blade guard gets sticky. So if your blade guard's sticky, take off this little ring and clean out all the dried up sawdust, because there's going to be a bunch packed in there. One interesting thing is this saw has the depth measurements on the adjuster thing, so read it through this little window. At first, I was a little confused about why they made this big slot here in the back for this to ride up and down in, but I realized later that they have that slot probably so they can get the piece out of the mold. If they had to have that shape, that curve, claw shape piece out of their mold and have it be all solid, that would be difficult. Like I said, I don't know much about molding, but that seems like it would be a real pain in the neck to do. How many reinforcement bars they put in up in this little weeny handle here. I mean, okay, but I guess you're not going to be really hanging on to that very hard anyways. It's back here, and in this area it's not particularly strong. It seems stiff enough when it's together. Oh, look at that. Right into the gearbox already. So, pinion, gear, just straight teeth, gearbox, whatever type of grease this is. A little roller bearing in there. Wouldn't have expected that actually. Pretty good sized bearing on that motor pinion. Of course, the gearbox is just mounted straight into the plastic with no gasket or anything, so that's not the best. Gearbox seems pretty good. I mean, actually a fairly nice looking gear on there. If it's powdered metal, I can't see the grains in it. Actually, I think it's machined. And on the end here, there's little rings like it was machined. So this might be a real machine part. This guy here, that looks powdered metal. Like, this is just, they hit the mark with the right amount of crappiness for this tool. I mean, ABS plastic isn't the greatest. The internals, there's not much going on here, but the motor and gearbox don't seem like they're going to break right away. The switch seems fairly good. So not an amazing tool, but for 50 bucks, so this is totally worth it. Yeah, that wire routing's weird. Kind of crisscrosses and stuff, but it has to run that way because this wire is short. So when it connects up to here, so this one has to come out that side, but this one can't make the long turn around because it's too short. So anyways, maybe that's what they had to do, shorten the wire for when they reconditioned it. The attachment from the base to the rest of the saw is not bad. It's a little flexy. And of course you get the fantastic yellow color. Yellow green color. Just to let everybody know that you bought the Ryobi cheap tool. If it was the dark green they had before, you could maybe pretend it was a Makita from a distance, but now nobody wants to use this. Nobody else wants to use this color. Look, crimped and soldered right on there, so that's a good connection there. So overall impressions of the P507, not too bad. Don't think it would stand up to a fall off a ladder or some other sorts of abuse. It's definitely not very robust as far as handling rough abuse, but if you are careful with it, seems like it would hold up well. This stuff would probably get bent if you had it rattling around in a truck with other tools and stuff. But if you're just going to be using it at home, occasionally taking it up on a ladder or on a roof or something, it's fine. Yeah, it's not bad, but it's not great. It's kind of what you'd expect from Ryobi. Perfectly functional. Grandkids aren't going to inherit it.